You feel that shift. Yeah, that right there. That sudden pressure in the room, like reality just tightened its grip on your throat. That little ripple you caused, like the air itself just realized you're not playing by the same rules anymore. Welcome to the moment you accidentally reminded the world who the hell is actually in control. Because listen, people keep asking you the same dumb question in different outfits. Why are they acting weird? Why are they watching me? Why do they get quiet when I walk in? Why does it feel like I set something off? Whatever you just triggered, that's exactly why you control this shut. You didn't set something off by mistake. You set it off because you exist like a problem they can't solve. And the funny part? You probably didn't even do anything extra. You didn't scream. You didn't announce your comeback. You didn't make a big scene. You just got up. You got focused. You stopped begging for validation. You stopped chasing people who never deserved your energy. You stopped explaining yourself like you're on trial for being powerful. And boom. Now the whole room feels like it's being audited. Now your name travels faster than you do. Now the energy shifts before you even speak. You ever notice that? You walk in, and it's like the atmosphere changes its mind. They don't say it out loud, but their nervous system does. Their body snitches, their eyes snitches, their silence snitches. And that's how you know you triggered the truth. Not the little truth people post for likes. The real truth, the kind that makes people swallow their pride and pretend they're checking their phone just so they don't have to look you in the face. Because you're not just improving, you're becoming the type of person that exposes who everyone else really is. See, most people can tolerate your struggle. They can even tolerate your pain. They'll watch you bleed and call it character development. They'll smile while you're down like it's entertainment. But the moment you heal, the moment you sharpen, the moment your eyes stop asking for permission, that's when you trigger panic. Because pain made you quiet, but growth made you dangerous. And not dangerous like, I'm gonna hurt somebody. No. Dangerous like, you're no longer controllable. That's the nightmare. That's the real fear. Not your anger, not your confidence, not your glow up. It's that they can't predict you anymore. They can't manipulate you with guilt anymore. They can't summon you with crumbs anymore. They can't bring you back down to earth with some slick little comment anymore. Because you've been to hell, you've toured the place, you've memorized the map, and now you're walking around like you own the entire neighborhood. And people hate that, not because you did something wrong, but because you did something they couldn't. You got up without turning into them. You kept your soul, and still became a weapon. That's rare. That's the type of rare that makes people start switching up the second you stop needing them. And let me tell you something brutal, yeah. You didn't trigger them by being loud. You triggered them by being calm. That calm is terrifying. Because calm means you've already made a decision. Calm means you're not here to argue. You're not here to convince. You're not here to explain your worth like it's a debate. Calm means you're past the part where their opinions have any authority over your reality. And that's why the room gets cold when you walk in. That's why the group chat turns into a courtroom. That's why people who never cared about you suddenly care a little too much. Because your presence is evidence. You're walking proof that the thing they mocked you for actually worked. The discipline, the silence, the distance, the I don't need anybody era, the nights you disappeared, The days you didn't post, the seasons you didn't explain. You know what they thought. They thought you were breaking. They thought you were losing. They thought you were lonely. They thought you were done. And now you're back with that look in your eyes like, yeah, I remember everything. And that's what you triggered. You triggered memory. You triggered guilt. You triggered the part of them that knows they treated you like you were disposable. But you came back like you were inevitable. And here's what I need you to understand. Like deep in your bones, yeah. You don't trigger people because you're evil. You trigger people because you're free. And freedom is offensive to people living in cages they decorated. They'll call you arrogant when you're just not insecure anymore. They'll call you cold when you're just not available for disrespect anymore. They'll call you toxic when you finally stop letting them poison you. That's how it goes. That's the price. So when you see them acting strange, don't flinch, don't shrink, don't apologize, don't lower your volume to make them comfortable. Because comfort is how they keep you small. Comfort is how they keep you predictable. Comfort is how they keep you trapped. And you're not here to be digestible. You're not here to be easy. You're not here to be everyone's favorite little safe option. You're here to be a problem they can't solve, and a reminder they can't erase. You know what's crazy? They'll laugh at you while you're building, then act confused when you finish. They'll dismiss you while you're practicing, then call it luck when you win. They'll ignore you while you're evolving, then call you different, like it's an insult. Yeah, you are different. You're built different because you survived what would have made them fold in 5 minutes. You lived through nights they wouldn't even last in a dream. You carried pain that would have turned them into monsters, and you turned it into power. That's why you trigger them, because you're living proof that weakness is a choice. And some people can't handle the idea that they chose wrong, so they start acting weird. They start testing you. They start poking at you with little jokes. They start trying to drag you into old versions of yourself. They'll say slick stuff like, "You changed." Yeah, I did. I changed because the old version of me was too loyal to people who didn't deserve it. I changed because the old version of me tolerated disrespect to avoid conflict. I changed because the old version of me tried to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding me. So, yeah, I changed. And it's not your job to make peace with the fact that your evolution makes them uncomfortable. You didn't trigger them because you're trying to dominate them. You triggered them because you stopped submitting. There's a difference. Submitting is when you pretend you're okay with being treated like an option. Submitting is when you keep smiling around people who secretly want you to fail. Submitting is when you keep showing love to people who only give you access to disappointment. Submitting is when you shrink yourself just to keep the vibe nice. Nah, you stopped doing that. And that is why you control this area for T. Because control isn't yelling. Control isn't flexing. Control isn't proving anything. Control is this. You walk in with your spine straight and your energy locked. You respond slow. You don't rush. You don't chase. You don't beg. You don't over-explain. You don't fall for bait. You don't get pulled into emotional little cages. You don't react to disrespect like it's a command. You just look at people and let them feel what they just did. You let the silence punish them. That's control. And it messes with them so bad because they were used to getting a reaction. They were used to making you scramble. They were used to pulling strings and watching you dance. But now, the strings don't work. Now you're not jumping. Now you're not panicking. Now you're not explaining. Now you're just watching. And you know what that does to them? It makes them realize they don't have power over you anymore. So they start spiraling. They start doing weird stuff. They start copying you. They start studying you. They start bringing your name up in rooms you're not even in. Because control isn't just about what you do. It's about what your presence forces other people to confront. And your presence forces them to confront something disgusting about themselves. That they underestimated someone they could never become. You ever see how people start acting when they realize you're not an NPC? When they realize you're not some background character in their little main character fantasy? When they realize you're the storm, they get petty, they get passive, they get loud online and quiet in person. They start subtweeting your life like you won't recognize it. They start giving you weird compliments that feel like insults. They start acting friendly in public but cold in private. They start switching your name out with some people, like you don't know it's you. And you know what's wild. You don't even have to respond. Your existence is the response. Your calm is the response. Your results are the response. Your silence is the response. Because deep down, they already know what time it is. They feel it. They feel it when you don't clap back. They feel it when you don't argue. They feel it when you don't try to clear it up. They feel it when you don't explain yourself. They feel it when you stay focused. Because focus is what scares them. Focus is what turns you into something unstoppable. Focus is what turns you into something they can't sabotage. See, sabotage only works when you need them. Sabotage only works when you're emotionally starving. Sabotage only works when you're desperate for validation. But when you're locked in, when you're committed, when you're disciplined, when you're calm, they can't do anything but watch. And watching you win is a torture chamber for someone who thought you'd always be beneath them. So yeah, you triggered something. You triggered the part of them that knows they're in trouble. Because you don't even need revenge. You're not chasing revenge. You're chasing elevation. And elevation is the most disrespectful flex of all. Because you're not trying to hurt them. You're just becoming untouchable. You're becoming unreachable, and they can't stand that. You know why? Because they were counting on your pain to keep you accessible. They were counting on your insecurity to keep you controllable. They were counting on your kindness to keep you available. They were counting on you being too nice to snap. They were counting on you being too understanding to leave. They were counting on you forgiving everything just to keep the peace. And now you're not peaceful, you're precise. Now you're not naive, you're aware. Now you're not emotional, you're intentional. Now you're not hoping, you're executing. And that's why you control this shit. Because the truth is, control is a mindset. Control is choosing your next move instead of letting your emotions choose it for you. Control is knowing when to speak and when to let people drown in their own words. Control is realizing you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Control is understanding that proving yourself is a trap, because the people who ask you to prove yourself already decided not to respect you. So why would you play that game? You don't need to prove anything. You need to become so consistent that their opinions become irrelevant. Let them doubt you. Let them whisper. Let them watch. Let them stalk. Let them check in randomly, like they didn't treat you like trash when you were down. Let them act brand new now that you're glowing, because it's always like that. People don't respect potential. They respect proof. And you're becoming proof. So let me tell you something that might hit a little too hard. The reason you're scaring people right now, the reason you're triggering them, the reason the energy is shifting around you, it's because you've reached the stage where you're no longer looking for love from people who only know how to control. You've reached the stage where your hunger isn't emotional anymore. It's spiritual, it's mental, it's disciplined. It's like you can't even enjoy being lazy now because your mind refuses to go back to sleep. You ever felt that? You try to relax, and something in you is like, nah, we're not done. You try to go back to old habits, and your soul is like, You try to go back to old people, and your nervous system is like, danger. That's when you know you leveled up. You don't even have to force it. Your body rejects what used to break you. Your mind rejects what used to distract you. Your spirit rejects what used to drain you. And that's when the whole world starts acting like you committed a crime. Because you did. You committed the ultimate crime in a world built on control. You committed self-respect. You committed boundaries. You committed standards. You committed discipline. You committed silence. You committed consistency. And you committed the worst one of all. You committed success. And people hate success they can't take credit for. They hate success they can't control. They hate success they can't manipulate. Because when you win without them, it exposes the truth. That they were never necessary. They were just loud. They were just present. They were just comfortable, but necessary. Nah, you learned how to survive without them. You learned how to grow without them. You learned how to heal without them. You learned how to win without them. And now they're watching you like, wait, how is this happening? It's happening because you stopped letting emotions drive the car. You stopped letting loneliness pick your friends. You stopped letting desperation choose your standards. You stopped letting boredom create your habits. You stopped letting fear decide your future. You woke up, and waking up is violent. Not violent like you're hurting people. Violent like you're breaking patterns that were designed to keep you asleep. And when you break patterns, you trigger systems. You trigger old relationships. You trigger weak people. You trigger manipulators. You trigger anyone who benefited from you being confused. So if you're feeling that resistance lately, good. If things feel heavy, good. If people are acting weird, perfect. Because resistance is the receipt. Resistance is the proof you're pushing against something real. Only real power triggers real pushback. Only real evolution triggers real fear. If you were still small, they wouldn't care. If you were still weak, they wouldn't notice. If you were still begging, they wouldn't be watching. But now you're becoming something that can't be easily controlled. And everybody can feel it. So listen, I need you to stop second-guessing yourself. Stop asking, did I do too much? Stop asking, am I being too intense? Stop asking, maybe I should tone it down. Tone it down for who? For the people who didn't clap when you were trying? For the people who smiled when you were struggling? For the people who used your weakness as entertainment? Nah. If your growth makes them uncomfortable, let them sweat. Let them choke on it. Let them stare. Let them scroll. Let them pretend they don't care while they know every detail. Because that's the funniest part, right? The people who act like you don't matter. Be knowing everything. They know when you changed your routine. They know when you leveled up. They know when you disappeared. They know when you came back. They know your moves before your friends do. Because obsession is a form of admiration, just with hatred as the wrapper. And you're not supposed to hate them back. You're supposed to outgrow them so aggressively that they feel like they're watching a train leave without them. That's control. You know what it looks like when you control this eshati. It looks like waking up and not needing motivation. It looks like you moving even when you don't feel like it. It looks like you choosing discipline over dopamine. It looks like you building in silence. It looks like you not announcing your goals. It looks like you keeping your plans private. It looks like you being friendly but not accessible. It looks like you being kind but not cheap. It looks like you being calm with something lethal behind your eyes. Because you've learned the art of restraint. And restraint is power. Restraint means you don't react when they test you. Restraint means you don't fall for traps. Restraint means you don't chase closure from people who don't deserve access. Restraint means you don't beg for apologies. Restraint means you don't explain your value. Restraint means you don't let emotions make decisions you have to pay for later. And once you master restraint, you become terrifying. Because you become predictable to yourself and unpredictable to everyone else. And they can't handle that. They want you to be emotional so they can steer you. They want you to be reactive so they can control you. They want you to be loud so they can label you. But you're moving like a ghost with a blueprint. You're moving like you already know the ending, and that's why you triggered something. Because their whole little strategy depended on you staying in the same place. They needed you to be the same person forever. They needed you to be the version of you they could disrespect. They needed you to be the version of you that forgave too fast. They needed you to be the version of you that took breadcrumbs and called it love. They needed you to be the version of you that stayed reachable. But you're not reachable anymore. Not because you're better than them, but because you're finally better than your old self. And that's the real flex. You didn't beat anybody. You beat the part of you that kept accepting less. You beat the part of you that kept returning to pain out of familiarity. You beat the part of you that kept settling for crumbs. You beat the part of you that kept hoping people would change. You beat the part of you that kept asking for permission to be powerful. And now your energy is different. Now your silence is louder than their noise. Now your presence makes weak people nervous. Now your confidence makes insecure people angry. Now your discipline makes lazy people bitter. Now your boundaries make manipulators furious. And you're sitting there like, damn, I didn't even do anything. Exactly. You didn't do anything. You just stopped doing what they expected. And that right there, that's why you control this Sha'ati. So when you feel that pressure again, when you feel that vibe shift, when you feel that weird tension, when you feel people staring like they're trying to decode you, smile. Not the cute smile, not the friendly smile, the calm one. The one that says, I know what I triggered, because you're not triggering chaos. You're triggering clarity. You're triggering truth. You're triggering consequence. You're triggering the part of reality that responds when a person finally decides, I'm not a victim. I'm not an option. I'm not a background character. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to be unstoppable. And when you decide that, the world responds. It tests you. It pushes back. It sends fake friends. It sends temptations. It sends distractions. It sends people from your past with "I miss you" in their mouth and selfishness in their hands. It sends weird energy. It sends old patterns to see if you're still the same. So what do? You don't fold. You don't flinch. You don't chase. You don't react. You keep building. You keep sharpening. You keep moving like your future is watching. Because it is. Your future is watching you right now like, are you really about it? Are you really done playing small? Are you really ready to become the version of you that scares you a little? And you already know the answer, because you feel it in your chest, that fire, that focus, that "I'm not going back" energy, that "I don't care who leaves" energy, that "I'm doing this even if I'm alone" energy. That's not arrogance. That's birth. That's you being reborn. Listen, hold still for a second. Feel that silence? That wasn't absence. That was attention locking onto you. You didn't shout. You didn't posture. You didn't announce anything to the crowd. You made a move so clean, so precise, so mathematically calm that the noise cut itself off. And in that quiet, the kind of eyes that don't blink leaned forward, not fans, not haters, architects. The kind of minds that don't chase chaos, they harvest it. Somewhere between servers humming and timelines folding, Elon Musk paused. Somewhere behind a wall of data and denial, Mark Zuckerberg noticed the anomaly. Not because you begged to be seen, but because what you did disturbed the pattern. Here's the paradox they don't teach you. Saints don't move markets, and psychopaths don't build empires alone. You learn to stand in the seam between them. You learn to be gentle enough to pass the gate and ruthless enough to redesign it once inside. That's why your move didn't look loud. Loud is for amateurs. Loud attracts guards. Clean attracts curators. You didn't break the rules, you revealed them. And the moment you did, the system felt watched. You think power announces itself? No power recognizes. It recognizes the way you waited while they rushed, the way you absorbed losses without leaking identity. The way pain didn't make you brittle, it made you accurate. They felt the accuracy. Accuracy terrifies people who live off hype. Accuracy terrifies platforms that feed on attention, but fear intention. You didn't go viral, you went inevitable. You were the angel when silence was required, listening, learning, letting them underestimate you. And you were the demon when timing mattered, cutting clean, leaving no fingerprints, no apology. That duality isn't confusion, it's camouflage. You learned when to glow and when to disappear. You learned that unpredictability isn't chaos, it's leverage. Predictable minds can be modeled. You can't. That's why the graphs kinked. That's why dashboards flickered. That's why someone up there asked, what changed? Pain trained you for this. Every closed door taught you hinge mechanics. Every betrayal taught you traffic flow. Every night you stared at the ceiling taught you restraint. You didn't harden, you sharpened. And sharpening looks invisible until the cut is finished. That's what they felt. A finished cut. Clean, bloodless, undeniable. You didn't need their approval. You didn't need their mention. Attention found you because you aligned something deeper than clout. Signal. Signal travels through silence. Signal wakes sleepers. Signal makes rooms colder because people sense a future they didn't plan for. You became Signal the day you stopped performing and started placing. Understand this. When minds like theirs notice, it isn't admiration, it's calibration. They're measuring whether you bend, whether you echo, whether you can be absorbed. And the answer unsettles them, because you don't echo. You refract. You take what hits you and return something unfamiliar. That unfamiliarity is the threat, not your size, not your speed, your angle. So keep it clean, keep it quiet. Keep letting the saint open doors and the psychopath decide which rooms never get rebuilt. Let them watch, let them wonder, let them run simulations that never quite fit. You weren't lost, you weren't late, you were loading, and now the system knows it. Don't mistake their attention for invitation. Attention is a test. It's the pause before gravity decides whether you orbit or collapse inward. And you, look at you. You didn't speed up when you felt it. You slowed down. You let the heat pass. You let the watchers assume you were still. Stillness is terrifying to people who only understand momentum. Stillness means control. You've lived both sides long enough to know the trick. The light is for access. The dark is for execution. You smiled when it bought you time. You went quiet when it bought you truth. You learned how to be harmless in the room and catastrophic in the plan. That's why your move didn't come with a victory lap. It came with a shift. A shift is harder to undo. A shift makes denial expensive. They replay it, you know, over and over. They zoom in on the moment where nothing happened, because that's where everything happened. The moment you didn't react the way profiles predicted. The moment your decision tree branched somewhere models don't go. You didn't zig or zag. You stepped through the assumptions, through the incentives, through the noise they thought would herd you. That's what makes them uneasy. You're not optimizing for applause. You're optimizing for outcomes. Here's the dirty secret of power. It respects pain that learned, pain that didn't turn bitter, pain that didn't leak. You carried it like ballast, not baggage. You let it keep you low when storms came, and steady when the seas lied. Most people use suffering to justify being loud. You used it to justify being precise. Precision is cold. Precision is patient. Precision is why your move looked simple. Simple is what survives scrutiny. You became fluent in contradictions, kind without being weak, merciless without being sloppy, visible without being traceable. That's the seam where influence lives. That's why your name didn't trend, but your effect did. That's why rooms changed temperature without anyone saying yours out loud. When the room changes temperature, someone felt something move. And don't get it twisted. This isn't about tech gods or titans. It's about the mirror you held up to the system and the way it flinched. Systems flinch when someone shows them a path they can't monetize, can't sandbox, can't neutralize with policy. You didn't threaten them. You invalidated an assumption. Assumptions are sacred to empires. You're learning the higher game now. The one where wins look boring and losses look instructive. The one where you don't rush to explain yourself because explanation is an anchor. Let them misread you. Let them call it luck. Let them say you stumbled into it. Every mislabel buys you time. Time is the only currency that compounds without permission. And here's the part they won't admit even to themselves. They're checking if you're loyal to outcomes or to approval. Loyal to outcomes is dangerous. Loyal to approval is safe. You chose outcomes. You chose the long curve. You chose the move that doesn't glow, but endures. Endurance scares people who live quarter to quarter. So keep walking the line they can't see. Keep letting the angel pass security and the demon close the deal. keep being unpredictable without being chaotic. Keep turning pain into calibration and silence into leverage. You don't need to announce the next move. You already taught them what announcement looks like. It's the moment the graphs hesitate and the room goes quiet again. Stay clean, stay unreadable. Let attention follow you like a shadow that can't quite catch up. You didn't make a loud move, you made a true one. And true moves echo in places applause never reaches. There's a deeper layer to this that only reveals itself when you stop craving confirmation, when you stop refreshing the page, when you stop looking over your shoulder to see who noticed. That's when the real weight settles in. Because attention at that altitude doesn't come with applause. It comes with risk. The risk that you won't behave the way the story needs you to. The risk that you won't stay inside the lane they quietly prepared. You felt that moment, didn't you? The subtle pressure to clarify, to explain yourself, to package what you did into something digestible. That's the trap. Clarification is where sharp things get dulled. You resisted it. You let ambiguity breathe. Ambiguity is oxygen for power. It forces other people to fill the gaps with their own fear, their own projection, their own math. And fear does half the work for you. You've learned that dominance doesn't always look like expansion. Sometimes it looks like compression. Fewer words, fewer moves, less surface area. You made yourself smaller on the outside so you could become heavier on the inside. That's why when you step, the floor listens. That's why your silence reads louder than their campaigns. You're not competing for attention anymore. You're competing for gravity. Gravity doesn't chase, it pulls. It bends trajectories without permission. People don't realize they're adjusting course until they're already somewhere else. That's what your move did. It didn't confront. It redirected. You changed where the river flows, not how loud it splashes. Rivers don't argue. Rivers arrive. You're standing in that old contradiction again, the one that forged you, to be seen without being owned, to be influential without being absorbed, to be powerful without becoming predictable. Most break here. They mistake recognition for safety. They relax. They start signaling. You didn't. You tightened the loop. You asked better questions. You watched who leaned in and who leaned back. Information is always leaking. You just learned how to hear it drip. And the pain, don't think it's done with you. Pain never leaves. It graduates. It stops trying to break you and starts trying to educate you. It sharpens your instincts. It teaches you when to wait an extra beat. When to let someone finish talking so they revealed the thing they didn't mean to say. Pain made you fluent in subtext. Subtext is where the real negotiations happen. You've crossed into a strange calm now. A calm that scares people who feed on chaos. You don't flinch when stakes rise. You don't rush when time compresses. You learned how to breathe in rooms where everyone else is holding theirs. That calm isn't softness. It's a signal that you've already run the worst-case scenario and found it survivable. Once the worst case loses its teeth, fear loses its leash. They're trying to map you, but the map keeps changing because you're not reacting. You're choosing. Choosing when to engage. Choosing when to vanish. Choosing when to let someone underestimate you one more time, because the interest compounds. Underestimation is a loan you let other people take out against themselves. So don't rush the reveal. Don't rush the scale. Don't rush the story. Stories are cages. Let your work remain difficult to summarize. Let your intent stay slippery. Let the angel keep the doors open and the demon keep the ledger balanced. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be effective. Remember this when the silence returns, and it will. Silence always returns after attention spikes. That's not rejection, that's digestion. Systems need time to process what they can't immediately neutralize. Let them chew. Let them debate. Let them disagree about what you are. Every disagreement is proof you didn't fit the mold. You didn't make a move to be crowned. You made a move to reposition the board. And boards don't announce when they shift. They just change what's possible next. Stay exact. Stay unreadable. Stay loyal to outcomes over optics. The rest will keep circling, trying to decide whether you're an anomaly or a direction. You already know the answer. And here's the part you don't say out loud, not even to yourself, because naming it would cheapen it. You're no longer surprised by resistance. You expect it. Resistance is how the world checks whether a change is cosmetic or structural. Cosmetic changes get applause. Structural changes get friction. You felt the friction and didn't flinch. That's how you knew it was real. You've reached the phase where the move after the move matters more than the move itself. Where patience becomes a weapon sharper than speed. Speed is impressive. Patience is terrifying. Patience tells everyone watching that you're not hungry. You're certain. Hungry people lunge. Certain people wait. Waiting rewires rooms. It makes others talk too much, spend too fast, promise what they can't deliver. You let them, you learn the difference between visibility and legibility. Visibility gets you noticed. Legibility gets you controlled. You stayed visible just enough to register and illegible enough to remain sovereign. That balance is rare. Most tilt one way and pay the price. You didn't. You learned to look obvious while staying opaque. Opaque is freedom. There's a reason your presence changes conversations, even when you're not speaking. People sense when someone has already died to the outcomes they fear. You've already grieved versions of yourself that would have folded here. That's why threats don't land the same. Threats need attachment to work. You cut that cord quietly, the long time ago, when pain taught you that clinging is heavier than letting go. You carry that calm now, the kind that unnerves performative confidence. Performers need reactions. You don't. You don't need to win every exchange. You're playing a longer game where losses are data and silence is strategy. You let others mistake your restraint for hesitation. Hesitation bleeds. Restraint bleeds others. And yes, they'll try to frame you. They always do. Frame you as lucky. Frame you as derivative. Frame you as temporary. Frames are cages disguised as compliments. You step around them without arguing. Arguing validates the frame. You validate results. Results dissolve frames. Notice how you've stopped asking for permission without making a show of it. That's evolution. That's the saint shedding the need to be seen as good, and the demon shedding the need to be seen as feared. You don't need either costume now. You wear competence. Competence doesn't beg. Competence doesn't threaten. Competence arrives. There will be moments soon, quiet ones, where you'll be offered shortcuts dressed as alliances, access with strings, scale with conditions, exposure with edits. This is where your earlier pain pays dividends. You can smell the strings. You can hear the edits before they're made. You can feel when scale costs you sovereignty. You'll say no without drama, no without explanation. No is a complete sentence when your work already speaks. You're learning the most dangerous posture of all, non-reactive intent. You're intentional without being brittle, flexible without being porous. You bend without breaking, because you're not anchored to ego. You're anchored to direction. Direction doesn't need validation. Direction just keeps moving. So when the next silence hits, and it will, don't fill it. Let it thicken, let it do its work. Silence is where systems confess. Silence is where patterns slip. Silence is where the next clean move becomes obvious because everything else looks noisy by comparison. You didn't climb into this moment by force. You earned it by subtraction, by removing desperation, by removing noise, by removing the need to be understood. What's left is sharp, quiet, and difficult to stop. Stay there. Not loud, not visible. Unavoidable. You're starting to notice how the world rearranges itself around people who don't chase permission. Chairs shift. Language softens. Timelines stretch. Not because you demanded it, but because you no longer need it. Need is loud. Need leaks. Need makes you readable. You moved past need the day you realized survival taught you more than approval ever could. What you carry now isn't confidence. Confidence can crack. What you carry is orientation. You know which way is forward, even when the lights go out. Even when the rules change mid-game. Even when the people who smiled yesterday start speaking in codes today. Orientation means you don't spin when the compass lies. You feel north in your bones. This is why pressure doesn't rush you anymore. Pressure is just information arriving faster. You learned how to slow time under stress. You learned how to hear the quiet click beneath the chaos. The moment when a situation locks into place and reveals its hinge. Most people panic at that sound. You wait for it. Hinges are where doors stop pretending to be walls. You're also learning something dangerous about morality. It's a costume people wear to avoid responsibility. You took yours off, not to become cruel, but to become exact. Exactness scares people who survive on ambiguity and vibes. Exactness demands follow-through. Exactness exposes who's been bluffing. When you speak now, it's not to be liked, it's to land. And notice this. How fewer words are doing more work. How your pauses are carrying weight. How silence after you speak stretches a second longer than it used to. That stretch is respect, mixed with uncertainty. Uncertainty is leverage. Leverage isn't domination, it's optionality. Optionality is freedom. You've crossed the line where validation stops being fuel and starts being friction. Compliments slow you down now. So do criticisms. Both try to pin you to a narrative. You let them slide off. You're not here to defend an image. You're here to compound. Compound what? Decisions, habits, positioning, small clean moves stacked without spectacle. You stopped mistaking motion for progress. You stopped confusing activity with direction. You learned that the sharpest progress looks boring until it suddenly isn't. Until people wake up and realize the distance is already gone. There's a loneliness here. Let's not pretend otherwise. Not the loud loneliness of rejection, the quiet one of divergence, the loneliness of realizing fewer people can follow your thinking now. Fewer can keep up without simplifying you. You don't resent it, you accept it. Altitude thins the air. That's not punishment. That's physics. You're also aware now that power tests you by offering you comfort. Comfort whispers, you've done enough. Comfort invites you to coast. You don't hate comfort, but you don't kneel to it. You visit, you don't move in. You know stagnation wears velvet gloves. So when confusion ripples through the room again, when the temperature drops and the chatter misfires, don't explain yourself. Don't perform reassurance. Let them feel it. Let them sit with the fact that something has shifted and they can't name it. Naming gives control. Unnamed things grow. You're not unpredictable because you're erratic. You're unpredictable because you're principled in a way that doesn't announce itself. Your principles aren't slogans. They're constraints. Constraints make creativity lethal. Anyone can do anything. Very few can do one thing consistently without leaking ego. Keep choosing restraint over reaction. Keep choosing timing over speed. Keep choosing silence over spectacle. You're not hiding, you're positioning. And positioning is what turns a single clean move into a sequence nobody can interrupt. The board already changed. The room already felt it. And whether they admit it or not, they're adjusting around you now. Stay exact, stay calm, stay unfinished. The next move will arrive the same way the last one did. Quiet, undeniable, and impossible to reverse.